Hi sewists and aspiring sewists, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Doyen, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be teaching you how to make this design round neck t-shirt. So if this looks like what you're interested in, you want to keep watching this video till the end. For this tutorial we're going to be needing this cotton fabric. We have one trouser here, and this is what we're going to be using for this tutorial. This particular fabric is actually very stretched, so we're going to be working with the stretchy part. So this is how the wrong side of this fabric looks like, so you can conveniently differentiate which is the wrong side. Also, this is the standard measurement we're going to be using. I'm working with a large size, so this is what I'm going to be using for this tutorial. So let's get right into the main reason why we're actually doing this. So the first thing I did was to lay my fabric to unfold, and I'm working with the front bodice first. So for the front bodice, the first thing we're going to be doing here is to measure our length. So for my length, I have 29 inches here, so I'm just going to add 1.5 inches to 29 inches, and that's going to give me 30.5. so the length I actually cut out was 30.5. so next, again, I'm going to go by measuring my body measurement. So for my body measurement, I have 46 inches here. Dividing 46 inches into 4 is going to give me 11.5. so I'm going to add 0.5 to my 11.5, and that's going to give me 12 inches. Now, because we're going to be adding the design, we're going to add an extra half inch to the 12 inches, so that's going to give me 12.5. so what I already cut out is 12.5. so from my 12.5, I'm just going to take out the sewing allowance. So what we're going to be working with now will be 12 inches. So I'm just going to divide my 12 inches into 2, and that's going to give me 6 inches. So what I'm just going to measure for that design is going to be 6 inches. So I'm just going to be marking it on different points, and I'm going to notch it at the upper part and also at the lower part. So let me just mark it on different angles, just to make sure that what I'm measuring and what I'm going to notch is actually 6 inches. That's because dividing what I have here into 2 gave me 6 inches. So if your size is smaller than this, just divide whatever you have, subtracting your allowance, your sewing allowance, and it will give you whatever you have is what you're going to be measuring for your dart. So this is me notching it at the upper part and also at the lower side. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now will be to spread it out like this. Then I'm going to be sewing on this part. So I'm just going to be sewing a straight line downwards, just like I'm trying to take in a dart. So this is going to be about 0.25, and I'm also going to be doing the same thing on the other side as well. So by the time I'm done, you're going to be seeing how it's going to look like. So I'm just going to go ahead to sew this. So after running a straight stitch, this is what we have. This is what it is looking like. So you can see that we already have a dart, and by the time I'm going to be folding this into 2, you're going to see that we're going to have exactly 12 inches because I had already taken out the allowance of the dart. So what we have here is exactly 12 inches, just as you can see on your screen. So the next thing we're going to be doing now is to take a proper measurement of this front bodice. First thing we're going to be doing here is to take our shoulder measurement. I have 18 inches as my shoulder measurement here, so dividing that into 2 is going to be 9 inches. So for this, I'm not going to be adding any seam allowance, so I'm just going to go ahead to mark 9 inches on this point. So once I'm done with that, the next thing I'm just going to do is to take my neckline measurement. So for my neckline, I'm just going to measure 2.5 as my neckline width, while for my neckline depth, I'm going to be making use of 3.5. If you're a chubby person, you can make use of 4 inches, 4.5 as your neckline depth. So once I have this marked, the next thing I'm just going to do will be to use my French curve to actually mark a round shape around my neckline. Next, after this, I'm just going to come down from my shoulder line by 1 inch, and I'm going to mark my point, and I'm going to use my ruler to just make a slopy shape towards my neckline. So once I have that done, this is what it is going to be looking like. So the next thing I'm going to do is measure my armhole. So for my armhole, I'm going to be making use of 8.5 inches for my armhole. So from my shoulder line, I'm just going to come down by 8.5, then rule a line. Then from there, from the midpoint of my shoulder, I'm also going to measure the same 9 inches I used as my shoulder line measurement. Then I'm going to just rule a straight line from there. So once I have that done, the next thing I'm going to do is divide my 8.5 armhole into 2, and that's going to give me 4.25. Then from there, I'm just going to come in by 0.5 inch. So once I have that done, I'm just going to use my French curve to rule out my armhole curve. Next, after this, I'm just going to cut out what I have here. So for my back bodice, I'm going to take out ½ inch. So what we have here is 12 inches. Now the ½ inch we added to the front bodice was because of the darts. So if you want to also add the darts to the front, to the back bodice, then you can make it 12.5. But in a situation where you're not adding it, then just reduce it by ½ of an inch. I hope this is clear. So I actually increase the length of my back bodice because the back bodice is going to be higher than the front. So this is why we're having this. So to maintain the slant shape, I'm just going to be placing my ruler like this, and I'm just going to measure 1 inch distance from my front bodice. So what I'm measuring here is 1 inch. So this 1 inch is going to be the difference between the back bodice and the front bodice. So I'm not going to maintain that 1 inch, and then I'm going to rule a line. So by the time I'm ruling a line, this is what we're going to be having. So I'm just going to be blending my shoulder measurement alongside with my front shoulder measurement. So this is what it is going to be looking like. So the next thing we're going to do is measure the neckline of our back bodice. So I'm going to also maintain the same 2.5 inches, and I'm going to come down here by 1 inch. So after I mark out 1 inch, I'm going to use my French curve to give a round shape around my neckline. Next, after that, I'm just going to go ahead to cut out everything. So for my sleeve, I'll be cutting 2 pieces of this. So I have it on double fold already. So for my sleeve length, I have 10 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead to add 1.5 inches to my 10 inches, and that's going to give me 11.5. Also for the circumference of my sleeve, since we used 8.5 as the armhole, we're just going to add 1 inch allowance. That will make it 9.5. Also from the top of my sleeve, I'm going to come down by 3.5, and I'm going to mark the point there. So from that 3.5 as well, I'm going to come down by 1.5. This is where I'm going to be measuring my round sleeve. So I'm going to come down by 1.5. Then let's go down to taking our round sleeve measurement. So for my round sleeve, I have 16 inches here. Dividing that into 2 will give me 8. So I'm just going to add ½ inch sewing allowance to it, and I'm going to mark my point there. Next, after that, I'm going to measure my down sleeve. So for my down sleeve, I have 14 inches here. Dividing that into 2 will give me 7 inches. So I'm just going to add ½ inch allowance to it, and it will give me 7.5. So the next thing I'm now going to be doing here is to use my French curve to actually merge these lines together. After that, I'm also going to form a curve around the upper part of my sleeve, making use of my French curve, and I'm also going to go ahead to cut this out. So to determine my neckline band, I'm just going to cut a random width measurement, which is 9 inches, and for my length, I'm just going to be making use of 2.5 inches. Also at this point, I want you to bear in mind that the circumference of your neckline band will also be the stretchy part. I'm also going to go ahead to notch the center point of my sleeve. So with no further delay, let's just get right into the whole sewing process. The first thing we're going to be doing here is to join both shoulders together. So I'm going to start by placing my front bodice on my back body, just as you can see on your screen, and I'm also going to make sure that it is aligning together. So at this point, you're going to be sewing here, and also make sure that the dart is facing the armhole area, also on the other side as well. So I'm going to go by sewing this straight. So after sewing, the next thing I'm going to be doing here is to locate the center point of my armhole. So you can see that we have a little excess here. So what I'm going to be doing now is to trim the excess that we have. So once I'm done trimming the excess, the next thing I'm going to do is to notch the center point of my armhole. I'm also going to repeat this same thing on the other side of my armhole as well. Next, after that, I'm going to spread out my round neck like this. I'm going to spread out my armhole like this. And then I'm going to be connecting my sleeve to my armhole, making sure that the notch part is aligning with each other. So basically, I'm just going to pin my sleeve round my armhole, just as you can see me do on the screen, and I'm just going to be sewing this round. So after attaching my sleeve, this is what it looks like. So I'm just going to be repeating the same procedure on the other side of my armhole as well. So after that, the next thing we're going to do now will be to join the sides of our round neck. So what I'm just going to be doing now is to pick up my sewing from my sleeve area, but I'm also going to make sure that the armhole part, the armhole joining should align together. So that's why I'm going to be pinning this down, and then I'm going to start my sewing from my sleeve downward. I'm also going to repeat the same process on the other side as well. So after joining the sides, the next thing you want to do is to confirm if you have your measurement. So what I have here is 23 inches. I remember we made use of 46 inches. Now to determine my neckline band circumference, I'm going to just go by measuring my neckline. So what I have here is 9 inches. So I'm just going to subtract 2 from my 9 inches, and that's going to give me 7 inches. So I'm just going to go by measuring 7 inches here, and I'm going to be cutting this out. Next, again, I'm just going to join this together, and then I'm going to be folding it like this. So this is what's going to be serving as our neckline band. So the next thing we're just going to do is to attach this to the neckline circumference. So I'm just going to bring the joining of my neckline band towards the back so that it is not visible, and I'm also going to pin this down. So I am just going to be stretching this band to fit into this neckline that we have here. So this is how I'm going to be stretching it. So I'm just going to go ahead to sew this on my machine. So after attaching the neckband, this is what we have. So I'm just going to be turning this over to the right side, and this is exactly how it is looking like. So if you watch this video to this point, why have you not subscribed though? Subscribe oh. So at this point, you can decide to leave your neckline like this, but I'm just going to run a straight stitch around putting my piping around it as well. So after attaching my neckline piping and running a straight line around my neckline, this is what it looks like. This is what we have. So the next I'm just going to be doing now will be to fold my sleeve and fold the downside of my round neck. So to achieve this, you can decide to make it of a taping machine or just run a straight stitch with your straight sewing machine. So after sewing, this is what it looks like. This is the final look, and yeah, we've achieved what we wanted to achieve. So if you watch this video to this point, this is me saying thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting me, and really subscribe to my YouTube channel. What are you waiting for? Please kindly like, comment, and share, and I'll see you again. Bye.